Good morning. Good morning. I'm early. I'm early. I'm early. Oh my gosh, I'm early. Good morning. I'm all pumped and Facebook says create another event. What's wrong with it? Oh, Facebook. Facebook. I'm early. I have literally 3 minutes, so you know what I'm going to do before the others get here is I'm going to go to the other screen, right? And I'm going to refresh that screen if I can figure out how to do that. And when it refreshes, I'm going to uh, click it. There we go. There we go. Mute it. And there we are. I've done it. Apparently I've done it. All right. Too low FPS. All right. 9:57. And I think that's a perfectly okay um, way to start. I think 9:57 is reasonable. Um, I was trying to figure out why I keep doing this, why I keep starting early, and I realized that a lot of stuff goes back to my early times in show business, especially theater, when you are expected to be, excuse me a second, too low. You're expected to be ready 15 minutes early. You're expected to be there and be in position so that nothing untoward can happen to delay the start of the show. That's the training, right? So it's sort of like a knee jerk, I guess. And I keep leaning forward because, oh, good heavens, Jean, you're with me so early. Congratulations, darling. You managed to overpower the need for sleep. Good for you. Good for you. I know the feeling. Um, Today is the third of the third, uh, and it's a Thor's Day. Oh dear, 3-3 on Thor's Day. Um, March is coming in with a fair amount of uncertainty, as would I, if I were the month following this particular February. Really, I mean, I would sort of be peering around the corner. Is it safe? So March, I have great hopes for a couple of reasons. One is that it's not February. Two is that it tends to get warmer. In fact, I think in my tiny corner of the world this weekend, it's going to be above freezing by the uh, Canadian numbers, whatever those are, which means for 10 seconds I may not have to wear boots. Yes. Um, and then I can pretend that it's really spring and everything is better. So here we are. It's 10 o'clock. Okay. For those of you early birds, I've been nattering at you for a couple of minutes. For those of us joining us, welcome to Thor's Day. Welcome to the second video of this particular week, this first week of March. We've had a lot of crazy things happen. There was a full moon last night, so in case anybody amongst your loved ones was behaving stranger than normal, we know why, don't we? No, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. There we go. When I'm over here, I have to do that. The reason I sound demented when I suddenly lean in like this is because I haven't figured out how to do all of this on one screen. I think it's a miracle in itself that I've figured out how to do this at all. And I would like to thank all the really big brains, not the little people. There are no little people. And so I have a second monitor, and the monitor is over there. And so when I want to see if who's The reason I sit back is so that I don't have that overwhelming impact on people, and also so that you can see my snazzy on air sign, which I think is killer, and my shoes, There, see my lime green little booties, because I think we all need context. We need to be able to put things in context. So my conversation today, for those of you who just joined us, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everybody. I'm channeling Mom for a second. I hope everybody's well, dear. The reason I decided today I would be talking about ripple effects and panic is because that's what we all do. And I'm just going to do that. There we go. And we panic because it comes as a great surprise, whatever that thing is. Jean, there's going to be freezing rain on Sunday. And the full moon explains what happened yesterday. There's going to be freezing rain on Sunday. Okay, so here's the plan. Here's the plan. We really celebrate Saturday. Really celebrate Saturday. Then get inside and close the door. Slam. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. Thanks, Jean. Thanks for the heads up. Freezing rain. Charming. Freezing rain is one of those things where Mother Nature says, I don't care, and I don't care who knows it. And she's sobbing and brokenhearted and yet cold-hearted at the same time. That's what I think freezing rain is. And as I am just saying, ripple effects, Jean allows me to use a real-life example in real time. Bless you, Jean. So, excuse me. I want to talk about ripple effects today because a very, very wonderful friend of mine, John Milkey, who was in commercial radio for a long time and then left commercial radio to form his own Blast the Radio, which is heard everywhere and his videos are seen everywhere, and he's just magnificent. You must look him up and you must do the thing. John was commenting that he went to get gas early this morning and fuel, and it was something ridiculous where he was, and then across the street it was even worse. And that's a ripple effect. And it's not a direct ripple effect. It's not like somebody dropped the stone in the pond right beside you. Somebody dropped the stone in the pond, all right, but it's over there. And we're not feeling the immediate splash effects. We're feeling the ripple effects. And the ripple effects are happening in a lot of areas. And rather than have this conversation about why, what's going on, and panicking and taking ourselves to that not thinking place, which is really unhelpful, I think it's important to know the cause and effect. So the cause and effect situation with the rising price of different commodities other than fuel has everything to do with crops. You will remember years ago, if there was a really bad storm of some kind, or fires, or cold weather in Florida or California or Mexico, real soon oranges were expensive. Orange juice was, my goodness, that's expensive. Avocados, all kinds of fruits, grapefruit, anything citrus that has to grow in a more tropical kind of climate was suddenly expensive. But the time lag between the event, the inciting event, and the outcome, the ripple effect on our prices, the timeline was long enough that we forgot. We had other stuff going on. We had other full moons and we had other things taking place that we would forget that that's going to happen. And so we would essentially be blindsided. and panic and complain and worry, mostly worry that the job we have and and the things that we're doing aren't good enough. They're not keeping us safe. They're not looking after us in the ways that we need, the ways that we expect them to. And there's another layer of panic. And if I explain it in a really logical way, it gives us a tool. It gives us a tool to say, oh, okay, so it wasn't a monster that jumped out of the closet or reached up from under my bed. This was to be expected. Okay. I can now, for the next time, plan ahead. And that's a whole lot less scary, really. So, here's what happens when we panic. The brain that runs everything at the back, the janitor, down in the boiler room where the furnace is a holdover from the long ago and far away when we were fairly primitive creatures and we lived in caves. It's called the limbic brain. I like to call it the cave brain because we know what a cave is. I don't know what a limbic is. I suppose I could learn, but really? So the cave brain has instructions that were wired in, hardwired, when we only had one cave, one small tribe, and one alpha leader to obey. The reason we obeyed the alpha leader is because the alpha leader was the one who decided whether you were valuable. If you weren't valuable, why am I feeding you? And the alpha leader had the power and the strength to toss you out of the cave. The reason you don't want to leave the cave is because outside the cave, there's all kinds of saber-toothed whatnots that are hungry. It's simplistic as all gets out, but that's really what's going on. So, if I see a stop sign and 7 cars at it, and I'm a little bit late for work, I panic. I get that tight feeling in my stomach, and I clench the steering wheel, and I breathe fast. And the reason I'm doing that is because the cave brain is doing this math. If you're late to the place you need to be, the alpha will say, you have no value to me. You will be fired. You will lose your job. You will have no ability to look after yourself. You will lose your house. You will end up living in a cardboard box at the end of the driveway. And if you don't get picked up during the garbage run, when the winter comes, you'll die. Cave brain doesn't go through that many steps. The cave brain's wiring says, if you're late, you'll die. That's why we panic. Doesn't make any sense. We can't tell the cave brain, what's the worst that could happen? What if the boss is late? Cave brain isn't wired that way. Cave brain is really, really simple. If you don't please the alpha, you'll be thrown out of the cave, you'll die. We must please the alpha. If you yell at the cave brain, there's 7 cars ahead of me and one of them's putting on lipstick. Cave brain doesn't care, can't hear you. Never heard of cars. All the cave brain knows is if you're late, you'll die. That's really freaky because it explains all of the clenched stomach. It explains the yelling, the panic, the short breathing, the sweating, and the frantic driving. And if you get in an accident, after that, if you caught speeding because you're trying to make up the time, you're wired faster because, oh my God, I'm going to die. Isn't that interesting? So, pardon me for just a second. I have to click this. How do I do that? There we go. I have to refresh and let them come back and see who I have. And thank Jean for her cool stuff. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So, with that in mind, what we see in the world around us right now in Canada, we, especially Ottawa, where I am, there was this odd thing that took place a few weeks ago. Gosh, it's only a few weeks ago. We had a whole bunch of big rig trucks come to Ottawa and decide that they were going to stay there until somebody heard them. Logically, thinking logically, what they were doing and why they were doing it and how they thought they were going to succeed made no sense. However, if you don't think logically, if you put on your cave brain hat, if I can't do what I've always done the way I've always done it, I will not please the alpha in the cave. I will have no value. I will be thrown out of the cave. I will die. I need to be able to do what I've always done the way I've always done it, because that's the way that works. That's cave brain thinking. Is by pivoting. Not by changing who we are. Not by going back to school. Not by, well, I suppose you could have therapy if you wanted it. Is by understanding that we have two other brains that are operating at the same time, along with the cave brain. They are our conscious brains. Cortex and frontal, prefrontal cortex. Middle and front. I call the prefrontal cortex brain the stage manager brain, because the stage manager is looking at the big picture. The stage manager says to himself, pretty heavy rain, maybe the audience is going to be late, they're probably going to be stressed, we probably need to rethink how we open the show. We don't want to talk to the cave brain because the cave brain barely made it in the heavy rain. Actor brain is taking instructions. So what do? Stage manager brain has a discussion. Actor brain comes in with a whole different energy, a whole different vibe. Instead of going in and saying, hey, everybody, it's a great night, the audience isn't ready for that. The audience is still going, and the one who didn't want to come is looking. Go to the theater, you said. It'll be fun, you said. And you're there. So stage manager brain says, calm them down. Actor brain says, good evening, everybody. How about that rain? Let's all take a deep breath. We made it. Who has wet socks? What that does, two things. It gives the audience permission to breathe. It gives the audience an opportunity to say, she gets me. Oh my God. They all nod, or they laugh, or they clap, or they sigh. Stage manager brain says, give them something to do that makes them feel better. Actor brain says, let's all yell at the rain. Boo! Audience will go insane. Guaranteed. When I used to do stand-up comedy, because how hard could that be? The first thing I would do when I walked out on stage, I would walk out and say, okay, I'm not starting my act. I have something to say first. Okay, I just need to get this off my chest. For those of you who have not been here before, I just want to let you know where the bathrooms are, because that's always the most important thing to me. So the bathrooms are, and wherever they are. And then I would say, and in case you were thinking you really needed to go, I'm only going to be 10 minutes. And they would all laugh because that's what they were thinking. And now they feel better. And then I would say, and in case you really need to go, I'll try not to be that funny. And then I would begin. So I was recognizing and honoring the cave brain strategically by changing my opening, by letting my audience know that I heard them, that I got them, that I appreciated them, that we were all in this together, and they were safe. Why I didn't become a world-famous stand-up comedian? Well, I got that call saying they need a mom on You Can't Do That on Television. And silly me, I said, what's the worst that could happen? So, here we are. We made it through March. We made it through January. Here we are. And already, stuff. Gas prices. All right. There's a big reason for the gas prices going up. It's a different reason than the food and the products and the commodities. The big reason for the gas prices is the ripple effect. Either fear, either panic buying, either stockpiling, or supply chain. But the trigger, the worry, the concern, the peeking out the door of the cave to see exactly where the monsters are, is the war. Because everything's connected. We're all connected. Every decision we make, every action we take has a ripple effect. And we are seeing proof right before our eyes. In some ways, social media, in-the-moment news, is comforting. In other ways, we wish we could turn it off if we can't. And when we do and walk away, in order to breathe and relax, we know that at some point we have to come back because everything is connected, much more than it ever was before. So what we need to learn to do, in my opinion, is remember something really important. We're not alone. We're not alone. We may feel like we're alone. We're not alone. So when the urge comes upon us, when the cave brain triggers panic, we have options. Cave brain is very powerful. We can't tell it not to, because it's the one that has us blinking and breathing and swallowing and doing all those automatic functions, and we really appreciate that. We can't turn it off. We'll die. So what we can do, though, is we can teach ourselves a little habit. It's very simple. So simple it seems ridiculous. Every morning when we wake up, before we get out of bed, before we think about anything, we need to tell ourselves, I'm safe. We're safe. I'm in a safe place. And breathe. The good air comes from deep down. Breathe in, breathe out. I'm safe. And what that does, remarkably, is it calms the cave brain down. True story. You'll try it. You may not believe me. You'll try it and say, oh my goodness, how interesting. Hang on a second, I just have to click this. There we go. Now, well, good morning, April. Good morning, Lance. How are you? How nice to see you. Awesome. Okay. The idea of breathing. I'm safe. We're safe. We're okay. We're not alone. I got people. We got people. Whatever it is, however you say it, it calms the cave brain down. As the cave brain calms down, it hands off the functioning to the stage manager brain, who's watching stuff. And the actor brain is ready to go on. It's not easy to change the way we do things, because it's the way we do things. However, the breathing is huge. You know something I discovered a long time ago, and I thought, that can't be right. I used to get leg cramps in my calf, Charlie horses, in the middle of the night. I would be completely asleep, and then I'd be standing beside the bed, screaming, thinking, first of all, ow, and secondly, why am I standing? How did that happen? Like, where was the middle thing? And somebody told me, a medical professional actually, that if you take the deep breaths, especially using your diaphragm, that you need oxygen going through the body to stop the muscle cramping. Breathe deeply. So I, instead of just screaming, which is all the air going out, I would breathe and get myself gradually breathing slower and breathing deeper. And you know what? I don't get Charlie horses anymore. I don't find myself suddenly standing beside my bed screaming, which must alarm the neighbors, or used to alarm the neighbors. So, if we do that, if we become aware that we have solutions that can help the cave brain react, let's say, more gently. This is a pivot. This is pivotry in motion, I like to call it. And pivoting is awesome. Pivoting is easier than leaning in and leaning out, because it's quicker, because it happens like that in an instant. So I'm going to tell you 2 stories about my dad. I used to think that my dad took great pleasure in the fact that I'm not athletically inclined and would torture me. not in a shy way. He would put me through paces that I really was not qualified to do. And I used to think he would do that kind of to show off, because my dad was what they call a natural athlete. He was automatically good at everything. And that wasn't annoying at all, boys and girls. No. So he would take me and teach me how to do something that I was vastly unready for, let's say. And when I would fail spectacularly, he would say, "You weren't paying attention. You weren't paying attention." He didn't have the language that I have today. What he meant to say is, you need to pivot. You need to see what you're doing. You need to see the outcome. You need to pivot. Because if you pivot, you'll be great. That's what he meant to say. I'm interpreting that now from a distance. So the first story was the day he took me to teach me sailing. We were in Ottawa, and Ottawa has this beautiful man-made lake called Dow's Lake, and you could rent sailboats. And so my dad would take me out. My dad, of course, could do anything, really. And took me out on the sailboat, and we're going back and forth, and he's telling me what to do, and haul on this rope, and sit here, and lean that way, and do this and that. And then the wind came up, and he said, "Okay, Here's what you have to do. We're going to use the wind to go faster. I'm going to turn the boat so that the wind comes at us and fills the sail. In order to make sure that the boat doesn't fall over, capsize, because the wind is really pushing on the sail and the boat really wants to go over, you have to hold onto the rope, put your feet against this, and lean out. It's called hiking out. And I said, but I'll be outside the boat. And he said, no, you won't. You'll be fine. You hold onto the rope, your feet are fine. And so the wind got stronger and stronger, and the sail filled, and the sail filled, and the boat was keeling up. And so I'm thinking, oh, crap. And I'm leaning out as far as I can. My back, my shoulders were, I could feel the water. I could feel it. I wasn't in the water, but I could feel the water. And we were going along at about 11 million miles an hour. It was awesome. Awesome. And then the wind stopped. Immediately, the wind stopped. And I went, poosh. And fortunately, I have total buoyancy. I mean, even my feet float. And so I came up, glasses like this. My father is standing on the boat, and he said, you have to learn when to lean in. Yeah. You help me in the boat? Yes. So he yoinks me out of the water into the boat. I sit there glubbing. And he said, you all right? Yeah. You didn't hurt yourself. You float. You're not going to drown. I'd have to tie a rock to you for you to drown. So you're fine. No matter how many times you fall in the lake, you're not going to drown. Just remember that. Okay. Okay. And he said, all right, ready? And we did it again. And 3 times that day, I'm hiking out and the wind stopped. I swear to God, my dad must have had his finger on the button that stopped the wind. And each time I fell in, each time, there I am, splash. Now, does that mean that if I go sailing again, I need to hedge my bets? Does that mean that I don't give it my all? No. It means that I have to be ready, and I have to be aware that I have to be ready. I have to be intentionally, strategically thinking as I go out. I have to watch the sail. I have to feel the pull on the rope, because the fact is the wind doesn't just stop. It shifts. If the wind can shift, so can I. I had in the boat with me an amazing pivot partner. He just didn't articulate it that well. He did the same to me when he taught me to play squash. I played tennis really badly. But the difference between tennis and squash is that squash has a back wall. So when your father says, go back, for the high shot, go back, run, yeah. And you hit the wall, boof! And he comes over and he says, you knew the wall was there. Yes. Put out his hand, yoinked me up. Are you okay? Yeah. No broken nose, no broken jaw. Your mother would be very annoyed with me if you broke your jaw. My mother would be annoyed with you. What's she got to do with this? He was teaching me the full-on, real-life result of cause and effect, of not paying attention and allowing ourselves to panic when we have the ability to rewire that hardwiring and think strategically. We have, as we're running back, the ability to say, my life does not depend on this. Don't forget the wall. We have that ability. We have to trust that ability and then practice using it. The reason I wanted to talk about this on around the world is frightening. Reasonably so. It's easy to panic. It's easy to let the cave brain make all those life-death decisions. It's easy to forget in that panic moment that the cave brain is working with really old data. We don't have one alpha in one cave with one tribe to please. We have many. The cave brain does not know that and never will. Life has evolved. We are grateful to the cave brain, and we need to have a trigger we can pull to override the sheer panic-driven headlong rush that the cave brain sets up. If I don't do this, we'll all die. It's not true. It's what the cave brain believes is true. And so, I am running long, but I think today this is important. So a really, really smart, beautiful friend of mine says to me, when things like this happen, when something wired in our cave brain screams because it believes we're going to die, the stop sign, the cars, that triggers the road rage, because we're terrified that if we're late for work, sooner or later we'll die. The boss will be displeased. I will have no value. I will be fired. I will be out on the street. Along comes winter. I will die. Okay, except that the first one isn't going to happen. He's not going to fire you. How do we take ownership and control that and shift that? We ask two questions. Is this true? Is this true? Does it have to be true to justify my belief? That's a more complicated question. Asking, is this true? Is the thing we ask after we say, okay, take that deep breath. Be thankful that you actually own a car. Take the deep breath. We are safe. We are safe. Does the panic need to be true? Am I in danger? Is everything going to end in this moment if I don't give in to this panic-driven emotional outburst? No, it's not going to end. However, panic-driven emotional outbursts have ripple effects of their own. A hurricane has a ripple effect. Yelling has a ripple effect. Hateful words and people panic and fall out of their boats, and a lot of them can't swim. So, as March begins, I just realized, gee, if we're not getting freezing rain till Sunday, the March coming in like a lion thing, the lion missed the bus. He's late. We got a late lion. We got a late lion this month. And one of the greatest ways that I have found in my life that help dispel panic is laughter. Mom on You Can't Do That on Television was not wise. She made you smile. And when all the world family again, you really wanted to identify with this kid or that one. You really liked the goofy awfulness of Barth, and who made you feel safe was Mom, because she said the most ridiculous things. Alistair, you can't put your brother in the microwave. We're just sitting down to dinner. Think of the mess. It's one of my favorite lines in the whole show. You can't jump from panic and fear to laughter. It's really hard to do because they're opposite ends of a full-on spectrum. What you can do is you can breathe. You can take in that deep breath. And when you let it out, even if you're still not okay, even if you still have white knuckles on the steering wheel, you can say, I am safe. I'm safe. God damn it, I'm safe. And breathe. And as soon as you breathe, the clouds begin to lift. And then everything is okay. The food is still expensive. Gas prices are up. Fortunately, they'll go down. They always do. The thing about wars is that they're hell. There's a great deal of pain and suffering. And then they end. Wars end. Peace reigns. Always does. So, I have two fabulous things to say before I go. One is that I have interviewed 12 people. It means I have all the chapters for the first volume of the Pivotry book. All I have to do is write the beginning and the middle and the end. Please. And then I'll have lunch. So, that's very exciting. It means that I'm going to have to do a volume 2, obviously. The second thing that's amazing is that I have a tech guru who has shown me that there's a way for me to start doing the books, start reading. Yeah, start reading. And we're going to start with Vicarious because Vicarious is fabulous. And I want you to meet Johnny Foster. Johnny Foster is my alter ego. She's even more of a train wreck than I am. And I'll tell you why. Because writers can only write what they know, and train wrecks are us. So, as you watch this video today, and you hear me saying all this, there may be a moment when you say, well, it's fine for her. I mean, it must be nice to be her. She has no idea what I'm going through. What I need to tell you is, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've had stuff, and it knocked me out of my boat. And it took me a long time to figure out how to process it. It took me a long time. And I process it every day because the wiring is there. On bad days, my cave brain remembers. And I have to remind it that we're safe. If I can do it, so can you. And if you're having problems, you know where to find me. Oh, one last thing. I always do this. I'm sorry. The clone, sending in the clones who attacked my Facebook and my Instagram, it was pointed out to me by my tech whiz that if you look at any of the clones, if you their name is at the top of whatever message you get, there's a little down arrow right beside their name. If you click on that, it takes you to their profile. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're answering them, but it takes you to their profile. If you do that and you look at their profile, you'll know it's the clone because they haven't posted anything. I, on the other hand, can't be stopped. So you'll right away realize that's the fake. And I was joking with somebody the other day, and I said the secret code when they message you. And the reason they're messaging, by the way, is it's a phishing thing. They want you to click on a link that's about a grant or something. So what you do is you ask them what their favorite karaoke song is. If they have one, it's not me. Because can't sing, by law. Okay, so we know how long I'm going to be usually about 10 minutes long. We know where the bathrooms are. My goal is to make you smile and make you feel okay. I think I may have covered those. I sincerely hope so. The weekend is upon us. I have amazing, amazing things to share next week. I'm so excited. I can't begin to tell you. So until then, I want you to remember that it's easier to pivot than to lean in and lean out. Much easier to pivot, I guarantee. And you don't get as wet. So until I see you again, 2 things. Like and share and whatnot. Be good to you. Okay? Be good to you. Take the deep breaths. You are safe. And hug your loved ones. They deserve it. Thanks for watching.